Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast for November 16th, 2024, episode 325. Stand-up comedian, actor, improviser, and dreamer, Paul Green, sharing my thoughts and insight as I pursue my dreams in hopes that you might just pursue yours as well. Well, I'm obviously a little late getting this episode out. That is because yesterday I had quite a busy day for my, as I'm pursuing my dreams. I had two performances back to back. One of them a sketch comedy show, and the other one a stand-up comedy show. And both of them I had some unique experiences, which I will share with you now. So let's start with the sketch comedy. So if you follow the podcast, you know that I have been involved in a local sketch comedy show that I have been rehearsing for the last 2 or 3 months. And this weekend, we are finally performing, and we had one show Friday night. We had our second show yesterday, Saturday evening, and we will have our third and final show this afternoon. So Friday night was our opening night, and overall it went very well. However, there is one character that I play in this sketch comedy show, and it's actually the last character I play in the last sketch of the show. And so Friday night we did that sketch, and it did not go well for me. Now it's a tough character to begin with, so I'm pretty much playing just like a typical douche a-hole on a date, right? So that's the whole point, right? That's how it's written, is for me just to be that guy who's just kind of a shallow a-hole guy. So Friday night we did that sketch, and I did my best to try to play the character in a way that I thought would still allow the audience to laugh at it, like that they would laugh at the satire of it all. And it did not work. So the entire time I was on stage playing that character, nobody laughed at anything. And I got way in my head about it. And I was like, oh no, this isn't working. I need to figure this out. So after the show, I talked to the writer who wrote the sketch. I wrote to the other actors, and I'm going, oh my gosh, the audience just hates me in that character, and they aren't laughing at the satire of it all. And so we started having some discussions, and I was really sort of like not happy about it. And because the reality is, even if you are playing a bad person, like this guy's not a good guy, when it comes to comedy, there's always a way to play villains that, even though they are villainous and we're not supposed to like them, the audience will laugh at it if you're doing it right. Like, think of like Dr. Evil in Austin Powers, right? Like, it's literally in his name. He's evil. He's trying to do all of these evil things, but we laugh at everything he does, even when he talks about how he's trying to kill his own son. Actually, the boy's quite astute. I am trying to kill him quite unsuccessfully. He's proven quite wily like his old man, right? So, Dr. Evil is evil. So why do we laugh at him when Mike Myers plays him? And it's because it's satire, and, we're not really taking it serious. So I really started to think about that. I thought about it all night and all day yesterday. And I started coming up with a couple of ideas. And the first idea I had was, oh, what if I actually play him as clueless and lovable? Like he's kind of like a nerd who thinks he needs to act that way, who thinks he needs to act like this super macho, shallow, oh, I'm going to get laid tonight guy. But he's really actually totally just clueless and innocent, kind of like a high school nerd who doesn't know what he's doing. And so that it makes him more likable. So I kicked that around. And then the other idea I had was my dad had a couple weeks ago given me his old leather jacket. Me, me and my brothers had bought him a leather jacket for Christmas like 15 years ago, and it doesn't fit him anymore. So I was like, hey, Paul, do you want this leather jacket? So I've had this leather jacket hanging in my closet. I've never worn it. And then I thought, wait, what if I double down and play the character even more douchey? Because when I played him Friday night, I wasn't really doing too much of a caricature. I was playing him just kind of like, oh yeah, he's just kind of a douche, but there wasn't a lot of animation to it. I wasn't really going over the top. So I was like, oh, I have that leather jacket. What if I made him even worse? So instead of trying to make him more lovable, what if I made him even more hateable? and went like almost Andrew Dice Clay with him. Like did the whole accent, popping the collar and just totally being even more that guy. So I had both of those ideas floating around in my head. I was thinking about them all day. And then so I brought my leather jacket to the show for call time. And then I started talking to the other actors and the writer again. And I started doing the character. And I was kind of doing Andrew Dice Clay, like, hey, what's going on here? Yeah, I got this thing, like that sort of like over the top, kind of douchey Andrew Dice Clay character. And the actors started laughing. They were cracking up. And I'm like, okay, I think this might work. So we get to that final sketch and I go full board on with this character when it gets to the final sketch. And lo and behold, the audience just started laughing at the character of just how ridiculous he was, how loud and obnoxious and over the top, super swarmy, douchey, kind of Italian New Yorker guy in the leather jacket. And so that felt really good. So between Friday and Saturday, the only thing that I didn't like about the Friday show was that character. And so I was able to fix that one part of the show that just didn't really land on Friday night, and it landed yesterday. So that made me happy. And, it's just a reminder to me of how important it is to be okay admitting that something isn't working. And I know in my life, because of my precious ego, it's been really easy for me in the past just to be like, oh, well, no, it's fine. It's okay. I'm not really going to look at this because I don't want to look at it because then it would require me to like make some changes or to potentially admit to myself that maybe I'm wrong or that this isn't going right. And I think it's always the path of least resistance just to sort of ignore it and just go, well, yep, that's not funny. but I'm just going to do it anyway. And honestly, I had thought about that too. I had thought about like, well, maybe I'll just try the character the same way I did it last night, and who knows, maybe something will magically happen to make it work. But to me, it was a matter of going, no, there's something missing here. I know that this character isn't working. It didn't work. The audience, I mean, not even a chuckle at anything this guy did. I could just feel that the audience hated him. And how could they not hate him? Because the way I played him, there was nothing redeemable about him, and there was nothing charming about what a jerk he is. Again, you can have evil characters or bad guys, but when in a comedy sketch, it's a matter of finding out how to satirize that character in a manner that the audience feels okay laughing at him. And, I could have just figured, well, whatever. So it was gratifying to me to be able to like take the time and effort to really look at that character, put some thought into it, and figure out how can I improve this and how can I make it that much better for the second show. And again, I think it worked. So I'm going to try that same character today, and hopefully it works. And if it doesn't, well, that'll be the end of the run. So that'll be the end of it either way. So after I did the sketch comedy show, I hopped in the car and drove to my hometown club, the one and only JP's Comedy Club, and I had a set in their late show. And I had a bit of an interesting experience on stage. Something happened that doesn't happen to me very often, and I definitely reacted in a way that I almost never react. And I'm not gonna lie, it felt so amazing. I still really can't even believe that it went down this way. So what had happened was, I was pretty much just doing material, and I have this whole set about how the stuff that women write in their Tinder profiles aren't really working for them. It's a little edgy, and, I'm being a little critical of the ladies, and I acknowledge that right up front. But I've been doing this set for about 6-7 months now, and it always goes really well. So I'm doing my set, and I do this joke about how women will write in their profile that they're looking for something serious, and how when men see that, what they see is just a woman who's not fun. And I'm kind of, talking about that. I'm getting big laughs. I'm going over the top. I'm being very big and animated. I'm having a ton of fun. But to end that bit, I talk about how, women put all this work into their profiles, but then at the end of the day, men don't read them anyway. And it's really more of an indictment that men are kind of shallow, right? So I say that. I go, so yeah, women put all that work in your profiles, but in the day, men, we don't read them. And then this drunk woman from the audience yells out, "'Cause you suck." Now, first of all, when she said it, I couldn't quite tell if she was saying that I personally suck, like saying like, "You suck, comedian," like it was a personal thing, or if she was just more like making an indictment on men in general, that men in general suck, which is why they don't read profiles. Didn't really have time to figure that out. All I know is like, it was pretty jarring to me, and it's pretty rare that I get thrown off on stage, although it can still happen because I'm still a neurotic comedian. I'm still riddled with insecurities and self-doubts, and, I still want the audience to like me and to go with me. And, I'm not up there to offend anybody. And so, it threw me a little bit. Like, oh no, is she offended? Does she think I suck? Whatever, so I kind of went through that like split second of like, how do I process this and how do I address the fact that this woman, like, pretty loudly and got a lot of the audience's attention because there was a bit of a reaction when she said it's because you suck. And something clicked in me. And I just went after her. And still, like, kind of gaining some composure. But what I pretty much did was, so I just spent like the last 3 or 4 minutes talking about how, women are saying these things on their Tinder profiles that they think are helping them, but all it really does is turn men off. And so I pretty much just said, oh, let me guess, you're also single and you're looking for something serious. I am. And then what I did is I pretty much like overly personified like this characterization of that type of woman who would say something like that. I got super loud. I got super obnoxious. I started like swearing, which I usually don't swear a lot on stage. And the audience started just blowing up because they totally got what I was doing and how I was pretty much saying, yes, everything that I just talked about things that women do that are huge turnoffs to men, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And I was pretty harsh, and I'm not usually that harsh, but first of all, I was pissed off that she heckled me. Secondly, I was kind of feeling insecure because she kind of attacked me, right? So now I'm back on my heels. And then there was also a part of me that was just like, F it, I'm going off on this because I spend so much time and energy constantly filtering and trying to control myself and trying to present myself in a certain way. And she just kind of popped the cork off something that was bubbling inside of me. I gotta be honest, it was one of the most fun moments I've ever had as a stand-up comic, just kind of going after the fact that this woman just heckled me and that, she thought that she could get away with that. And so it doesn't last very long. I mean, I watched the video back. It was probably like 20, 30 seconds of me just sort of ranting about this heckle. And I literally ended it by just, I literally dropped the mic and flipped her off on top stage. And the audience just goes nuts. And I could not believe I did that because I have never, ever done anything like that before in the history of me doing stand-up. Now, I'm not saying I condone my behavior, but I sure as hell am not sad about it. And I don't feel bad about it at all. And yeah, there was just a, I don't know, you hear this all the time, like, I have no more F's to give in life. Like, I really don't give an F what people think. Now, I don't ever believe that when people say, oh, I don't give an F what people think. It's like, yeah, you do. And I do too. But there was something about in that moment of me being very authentic with how I was actually feeling and what I was actually thinking about the fact that this woman would have the audacity to say, you suck. Again, either to me personally, it was either she was saying personally or she was saying, I couldn't hear if she said, because you suck or because they suck. I'll have to listen back to the tape. And again, I don't know if she was saying that to me personally or if she was just sort of, indicting men in general. Obviously, Just, well, men suck because they don't read our Tinder profiles or whatever, and men are the problem, and blah 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 blah. So either way, it was very liberating, everybody, not gonna lie. And was just really fun. I was so lit up after that, like in a good way. It's like I felt alive on stage uh as a stand-up for the first time in a while. I felt like really free. So I don't know what that means. It's not like I'm going to become that guy and just start yelling at the audience all the time. It was kind of a lightning in a bottle type experience, but if nothing else, it just taught me that um sometimes just being authentic with your feelings and just expressing them. Now, again, I am not a fan of being hurtful or, attacking or just blowing up for no reason. But there was just something in that moment that really was an authentic truth that got unleashed. And, and it was also a bit of, if you're going to attack me when I'm in this position, good luck. I'm gonna say what I really think about that. And that's liberating for whatever that's worth. All right, everybody. That is all for today. I hope you're all doing well. You're out there being your authentic and true selves. If there's something that is just not working in your life, I encourage you to have the courage to look at it, ask yourself, why isn't this working? And let your brain, that marvelous brain of yours, figure out a solution. How can I make this work? How can I make this better? And be willing to try and be willing to experiment and see what happens. And then also, sometimes it's okay to be authentic and to express what you're really thinking and what you're really feeling. It's very vulnerable. People are going to feel a certain way about it, but sometimes it's just better to be the authentic you than presenting a false you to a world that doesn't really care anyway. So, anyway, there's a little life lesson for all of us. All right, everybody. That is all for today. This is the Paul Green Comedy Podcast for November 16th, 2024, episode 325. I love you all so much. I hope your dreams are coming true, and I will talk to you tomorrow.